Hey guys, we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm visiting a friend, Jason Livingston, who is the founder of Electric Bike Outfitters. How's it going, man?
Great. This is great to have you here, Court.
I'm excited about this. I, drove up from Fort Collins because I've got some family in the area, and I didn't realize you have such a growing operation because we met in Fort Collins last time. Do you remember that? I was like out on a bike trail and
a couple years ago.
That's right. So you must have just been getting started back then. What was the?
2015 we launched our business. We've been doing design work on motors for a while, and decided it was time to launch the business. And we've been growing and expanding. We've moved into a new building. We bought a building.
Is that where we're at right now?
We are
Is this the new
at
building?
Headquarters.
Wow, sweet.
And things have been great. It's a lot of fun, and we're seeing a lot of neat things in the market. We kind of came to this market thinking we're going to be tons of commuters, and it's a lot more retirees, medical situations, a lot of really great custom things that we do. But it's been a really good learning experience, and I could show you a little bit about our operation.
I would love that. And before we go that way, I noticed you cover mountain bikes too. And are you kind of a mountain biker?
I am a mountain biker. I actually ride at least once a week.
Nice.
And I don't take a motor most of the time. It's rare I take a motor with me. But it is a lot of fun.
Well, these are some fun ones. So yeah, you mentioned design work and stuff, but what I see right here is just a bunch of parts. Can you, is this some of your inventory or what's going on over here?
Yeah, so what we do is we bring in freight containers of all the parts, and we assemble everything here. So the motors come in, some built, some not built, into a rim. We basically like this side here, this is all black front and rear motors, 26 and 700C, which are best sellers.
700, that's like the 28-inch city wheel size.
So basically, we keep the inventory constantly stocked. We build about 50% of our motors into the rim here.
Is that what's going on over here?
Yes, Patrick here is building up a wheel for us right now.
So I want to zoom in on this. It's not very often that you actually see a wheel being spoked custom like this. Patrick, this is pretty fantastic. And we were talking earlier. I kind of came in and got the introductions and stuff, and we might have crossed paths before at what is it, Small Planet EV and in Longmont. So you're totally an e-bike guy, all over the place. He just rode his bike in too, right? That was great. So you're eating your own dog food and spoking it up. This is really cool because then you're able to do the different wheel sizes and stuff and get people exactly what they want.
Yeah, we really don't always know in this industry if it's going to be a 16-inch wheel or if it's going to end up being a 700C. There's so much variation front and rear, so that's why we do a lot of wheel builds because one year we'll sell mostly 700Cs and next year it might be 26s. So
and maybe even seasonally if it's like mountain biking season and you got the 26, or do you even do 27.5?
We do.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first year we only saw a couple, and a third year we saw hundreds.
Right. The whole space has sort of evolved, and for a while it was like 29ers, and then now there's that kind of in between size. Fat bikes, I noticed again. That's pretty custom too.
Yeah. And it's 1 year you'll do 100, and next year you only see 20 fat bikes come through in order. So it's we really don't know exactly what our largest sales are going to be. So to kind of compensate, we do a lot of wheel builds.
And I've got to say, my understanding is that it's kind of cheaper to have this stuff pre-built in China or somewhere like that. But then again, we were talking about some of your technology changing, like the Joulette connectors, for example. That was these color-coded wires, and you were like, yeah, we've totally moved over to that now. And if you have everything pre-built, you can't necessarily pivot as,
Yeah, so what we do, we bring in all the wiring harnesses separate, and because we don't know what type of bike we're going to be installing on. So when a customer orders, we're able to say, all right, is it a cargo bike, or is it a tandem, or is it a regular road bike? So we can supply the correct cable lengths. So you don't have a whole bunch of cable rolled up and hanging, or not enough cable. So we have lots of different lengths, and we have lots of extenders if we have something very unusual. That's kind of, when we get an order, everything is pulled. So we pull the brakes, we pull the LCD for the bike, whatever brackets they need for the batteries, how long their pedal assist cords need to be, if it's an inside controller, outside controller. All
that
the
is so
different
cool. I mean,
variations.
so we've already talked about a lot of this stuff, and Jason was telling me they have like 22 amp controllers for 48 volt systems where it's external, and then they have 17 amp controllers that are internal, so it's a
Yeah.
little cleaner. And then you were talking about, the colors. I really like, you can have silver, you could have black rims, racks, and that way the bikes, even though kits tend to have a little bit more wires and some, not as much internal routing, you get that affordability, the versatility, and then you can match it. Then that's not too bad. So you're kind of closing that gap and making it a little bit more stealthy. I wanted to comment as well on your cadence sensor design. So we were just talking about that, and I was like, well, they have these really compact ones, and they have 12 magnet, and why did you choose 8? And maybe you can tell me what you said, because I thought it was interesting.
Well, we kind of went with the 8 magnet. When we first launched, we only had 5 magnets, and we did some testing actually after your reviews on what did we see when we went to 8, when we went to 12. And one thing you can do is change with the LCD how sensitive it is. So you could have it recognize the first magnet pass, kick on the pedal assist, or you could have it pass a few magnets. And we did feel a difference from a 5 magnet to an 8 magnet, but 8 to 12 we didn't feel a big difference because we could adjust the settings. We did go with a hard mount system on the pedal assist. It's a little more difficult to install.
So that's where it like literally goes on the
so let me pull out one.
Would that be called a spindle, or what's the?
So basically this is the sensor. And here's your sensor, and this is mounted behind the bottom bracket. And we went with that because it has less chance of failure because it's hard mounted in there. It can't, it's not glued, it's not zip tied, it's mounted in there. It may be a little bit more difficult to put on, but any bike shop can do it in about 10 minutes.
Right. Okay.
And
what he's talking about, could you hold that again? And so you imagine your pedal and your crank arm right here. So as your crank arm spins, that other disc with the magnets passes that sensor. And so you're saying it's not glued, it's not zip tied. This is built on. It's hard mounted.
And this is something you don't want to fail on you when you're riding. So that's why we've gone that direction. It does make it a little harder for the do-it-yourselfer because you have to have 2 special tools. But
what's that called? There's like that special.
You have your crank puller, and then you also have your bottom bracket remover.
That's right. Yeah, they are kind of a custom tool. Well, okay, so different types of batteries, all the different cables and stuff like that. That's what we're looking at here. But you mentioned, and I don't know, I don't want to cut you off too much. Was that your feedback on the? Just kind of, you were able to find like a happy medium, something that's, and I'll be reviewing these things and spending some time with them. But the other piece of this that really caught my attention, it wasn't just like, we have the latest and greatest parts and we're really thoughtful about what we select, but you even designed some of this stuff.
We do a little bit of work on all the motors. Our smaller motors, our 350 motors, is what we do a lot of design work on. We do a significant amount of the engineering on there. With some of our other motors, we do team up with existing manufacturers and we collaborate together.
Keep the costs lower and stuff, right?
Collaborate and make some changes, everything from axle design to cables.
Can you, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but you were showing me some cool CAD stuff. Can that go on camera? Can I show you?
I'm not going to go into the motor.
I'll keep the camera back, but I just thought that was so cool. Let's take a tour over there. Because this is, I rarely see this level of custom work being done on like the hardware. A lot of times it's more like, we got the latest and greatest and we just run with it. But you're actually speccing the dimensions of the casing on some of your motors.
So on this, we're calling out all the max dimensions and tolerances on the castings of the casing of the motor.
Okay.
And all the axle design, all the nuts and bolts, their sizes, and speccing that all out, making sure everything fits right, because I'm sure you've had the experience where you put on a motor and it hits the fork.
Yes, and that's I noticed one of your bikes over here. This is beautiful. It's like a giant road bike, and the hub spacing is one thing. Usually it's 100 millimeters in the front, right? But then the forks, sometimes when it's more of like this bladed aerodynamic, like tighter design, if they don't go straight up, if they bow in a little bit like this, then the casing can rub on those forks.
See on this one right here, it has that tight tolerance.
The tight tolerance, and you can see right there the bulge in the fork. The dropout's wide, but then this bulge comes in, and so you need a motor the casing that fits and it doesn't rub.
You
And
have to have all the different steps down.
right. Thank you. So that's cool. Is this just your fleet of test bikes here, or what are we looking at?
This is a fleet of just demos. So most of our sales are to bike shops. But we do direct sales, and we're not really set up for walk-ins, but we do have a lot. People come in, so we made it so people can come in and try out a bike before they buy from bike shop or us.
That's fantastic. And then another piece, we were talking about your battery designs, and you're like, we really like the Dolphin Pack because it's really durable, and it's mounted on the down tube there, so the weight is positioned low and center. And then you were showing me like a battery testing thing. Can you share that too, or is this private?
Yeah, I can share that. It's a battery conditioner tester, and basically what we do, we simulate a bike ride. So we have peaks and valleys, like you're going up a hill, going down a hill, you're on a flat, and we simulate, a drain on a battery.
This is so cool. Before there was like a chart and it had all these steps. Can I open this up again? This is kind of neat. So there's the special testing unit that he's got going. This is the battery, and I noticed, he's got it on the foam. So is that something you do with all your batteries, or what?
It's 100% check. So every battery that we sell runs through a tester, and why we do that, a battery, Samsung cells gets tested at Samsung. We get that report. Then they get tested when they get packed into the battery pack. They get tested after they're packed.
Okay.
Then they're shipped here. So they're on a freight container for over a month, and then they're, once they hit the United States, they're in customs. So they sit a while.
Yeah.
And we see about a 1% failure rate from what we receive. So this verifies that what our customers are getting is a battery that, if we sell an 11.6 amp, battery, we prove it. We make sure that it is 11.6 before it goes out the door.
Huh.
And we verify that the BMS board is good and it's not going to fail on them.
Okay.
So basically, what we get with our tester, bring this up real fast.
Is it in that way that you don't waste your customers' time? Like when they get the battery, it's like it definitely worked before we sent it to you. Mm-hmm. This is kind of how long does that process take with each battery?
It does take a while. So
pretty hands-on.
First thing the battery does is when it gets hooked up, it charges it.
Uh-huh.
And once it gets fully charged, then it starts to discharge the simulation, and that's how we get our reading of our amp hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we get our max volts. And then when it's done, then it charges it back up. So you're talking about a 4-hour pre-charge, and then up to 2 hours of a discharge,
and then you charge it again,
and then a charge 4 hours. And we only can do 2 batteries at a time, so this thing's constantly running.
Right.
We actually use outside battery company when we have too many batteries.
Huh.
High C Batteries, a local company that will grab batteries from us and put them on his testers.
Okay, so I have some more battery questions for you, since you're kind of an expert. I've heard, back in the day, it was like, you want to fully discharge your battery and then charge it, and that like shocks it, and I don't know if that's the case with lithium-ion batteries.
It's really not. You don't want to, go on a 5-mile ride and charge your battery, because basically the thing is with lithium-ion batteries, they're only good for so many charges. So many
charge
cycles.
full cycles. Yeah.
So if you're charging it every day and you're only riding 5 miles, you're not getting the full life out of that battery technically, because you're not, that battery may be good for 60 miles. So you ride for 60 miles, then you charge it. So, if you're charged, like myself, I charge once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a long time of cycles. I'm going to get to 750 charging once a week.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time. But if you're charging every single day and you're only riding 5 miles, you're only going to last 2 years.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay, and then I've heard something about if you aren't going to use your battery for months on end, maybe to store it at like half full so it's not stressing the cells. What do you think?
We recommend with our batteries, never go more than 3 months without charging and charge it fully.
Okay, so you charge it and then maybe over time it trickles a little bit.
You might have a little bit of drain on some batteries. Some batteries are fantastic and you don't see much drain at all. We've done a lot of testing where we've had batteries sit for a year.
Right.
And they're fine.
Well, we talked about how you have like a USB port on the side of this Dolphin Pack, but you've deactivated because it's a source of phantom power draw.
Yeah, it is definitely it's a little bit of a vampire typically.
So the electricity's kind of like just slowly leaking there, and you were like, we have a USB port up on the display, that's enough, and that one gets fully turned off when the bike's off. So it's because there isn't like an on-off switch on that battery.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And then also, we're in Colorado right now. It can get cold here.
Yeah.
So in terms of storage, do you recommend people kind of take the battery off and keep it away from extreme heat, extreme cold, or does that matter? Like,
yes, it definitely matters. The worst thing you do to a lithium-ion battery is actually, have it in a freezing garage and charge it.
Oh, really?
Really is bad on a battery. We recommend, taking your battery, always get an ambient temperature, keep it in your house. And don't leave it out in the garage all winter. That's not good on it.
Sure.
And, lithium-ion batteries don't like, if you go on a ride in the winter, try to wrap it or do something to it, because you'll see a performance difference from, summertime to wintertime. A lot of our customers will hear them say, I can make it to work, but no further. I can make it 20 miles max, and then after 20 miles, the battery just says I don't want to do it anymore.
So wrap it. We were looking at, Patrick had those big bar mitts before, and they're like these neoprene things. Yes. And I guess I have seen people like in New York City, they'll like wrap their battery.
Neoprene works fantastic to basically you take your battery out of your house and it's wrapped in neoprene. You can make a few more miles.
Interesting.
Yeah, we use kind of a simple rule when it comes to our battery. So if you take a 36 volt. Let me pull out a calculator, kind of make sure I get
there. We go. Numbers. Let's do it.
So if you take a 36 volt, 10 amp hour battery, you have 360 watt hours.
Yep.
We kind of, average rider, average distance you should get with that battery. Basically, a 20 watt hours gives you 1 mile. Okay. Is our calculation.
Yeah.
So divide that by 20, so that battery should get you 18 miles.
Okay.
And that's if you aren't pedaling. No pedal assist, full throttle, 72-degree day, flat, no headwind, and you weigh like 160 pounds.
Right.
It's kind of like, I think some of industrial.
That's what I use.
Like,
the industry standard.
Yeah. So,
but with pedal assist, that 18 might go to 25 or something.
Depends
on the level.
We have a customer that rides a 36 volt system. He rides a 36 volt times, it's a 14.5 amp hour battery, and so he has 522 amp hours. Divide that by 20, so he should be getting about 26.
Okay.
And he just rode across the whole country, 5,500 miles on that kit. It was a Burley kit, and he was getting an average of 55 to 60 miles a day using pedal assist.
Wow. Do you know what level of pedal assist they were using? Like the middle, or?
I think it varied, but I think he's a strong rider, so I don't think he was using, a lot of assistance.
Yeah.
I think he used it for help a lot on mountains, but I think he was using quite a bit.
Okay.
But 60 miles is, what I can get on a 36 volt system.
Okay. So fantastic.
That's
that's double. So it's just nice to know that not only do you offer a range of battery types and voltage and amp hours, but the way that you ride and whether you're an assist or using the throttle. It's great that you just have all those options. So thank you for digging a little bit deeper. Before we finish up here, I noticed there were some other really cool bikes in the hall, or anything else that you wanted to show.
Yeah. So one thing that we try to do is, we want to be able to install on any kit, in any bike. So we offer a lot of different options, everything from motors, batteries, and we do a lot of different cable lengths, so we can do all sorts of different bikes. So we actually have a lot of different styles of bikes and variations to kind of show how much we can do.
Sweet. Here we go. So these are the bar mitts, by the way, guys. We just out into the hall. It keeps your hands warm and kind of got a system going. And these are some of the other just unique bikes. Are these customer bikes, or what's going on with these?
A lot of one's a customer bikes, and this Yuba here actually is how I deliver locally.
Oh, cool.
And also that's how I pick up my son from daycare.
Hey, because you got the the hoopty or something back here?
Yeah. So,
protects your hands and stuff so they don't get pinched. That's super cute. So this is your bike.
This bike here is from Slow High Bike Shop. They do a lot of great cargo bikes, and this is a demo that they have in their shop. They loaned me for the day.
Oh, cool.
This bike here is getting a kit installed on it.
What's this Sun Trike?
Yeah, it's from Any and All Bikes.
Cool.
And this one here is a trike from Best Electric Bike. They have a mega store here in Colorado.
Oh, that's right. Pretty nearby, right?
Yeah, it's 11,000 square feet of electric bikes.
Wow.
I think it may be the largest electric bike shop in the country.
And you're their kind of the kit provider for them.
I supply these bike shops locally their kits.
That's fantastic, Jason. amazing to see what you can do. I noticed that recumbent over there has double battery setup,
Yeah.
so for long range rides.
It's for a customer, older gentleman that his wife rides every day, and he wants to ride with her.
Yeah.
She rides 60 miles from down south all the way to REI and back home, so it's 30 miles each direction.
Wow.
And he wants to make sure he can go the whole distance without any issues, so he opted for a dual battery to make sure he never has problems.
So, and I love that this even has suspension on the front. What's the kit that's on that one for people who are
that
curious?
was the Burley kit.
The Burley kit, and I will be reviewing the Burley kit. I might even get to kind of check that bike out. I think that's great. I've really had a good time just talking with you, cruising around, and
And we also have another great bike that just
do you have another one? Is this one? Here, let's go check that out. Hey guys, how's it going? You okay being on camera?
Oh, sure.
Sweet. This thing looks pretty incredible here. Can you explain what's going on with this?
So our son has a rare genetic condition called Dupe 15Q, and we were looking for a bike that we could take him around because he doesn't pedal, can't steer.
Yeah.
And we came across this from Freedom Concepts.
Wow.
And it's perfect. He can sit in the front seat,
Oh,
and we steer from the back.
that makes sense. Wow.
And,
Oh my gosh.
That way he can enjoy. He loves bike riding, and he wants to go out every single day on it. And so we strap him in, take it out, and the motor is the best part about this bike. When we first got the bike, it didn't have a motor or anything on it, and the gearing system, you couldn't go up a hill whatsoever.
Huh. Even with, I mean, you do have some gears here, but I
it's
guess.
a single sprocket,
Oh.
so the gearing is more for torque and not for power and speed. So
Makes sense.
so we couldn't go very far.
Well, Jason was telling me about how he needs to have some extra long cables for
Yes.
certain situations. Is this one of those situations?
Perfect example.
This is a great example. Wow, and that's so cool. Look at the bar up there so he can hang on, and it even got this, like, those are like bolsters or something. Keeps
Yeah,
you.
so it's like a 5-point harness. So this will strap around his chest.
Wow.
And then we have a lap belt and then another chest belt to keep him in. And then his feet strap in here.
Oh, so they won't fall off and get bumped or
Yep.
something.
Yep. And then these right now are freewheeling.
Yeah, free will, so he won't get. He can
yep.
take his time if he wants.
If you want. And
Coast.
then we can also turn it on, connect the chain link, and then it'll pedal as we pedal. As like a
Oh,
regular
so that'll
pedal.
give him a little bit of extra
Exactly, yep.
encouragement.
Right. So he gets the feeling and understands, oh, this is how my feet move when I pedal.
And I love it. Like, back here, Jason, you flip the battery. Is that? It's not hard on it. Is that okay?
No, it's fine on it since how it mounts and locks.
Yeah.
Not a concern at all.
That's great, because then you've still got that cargo
Exactly.
capacity on top that you
Yep.
can still get to. This is just fantastic. How long have you guys had this?
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yep. We've
Wow.
got we're just at about 500 miles on the motor.
Gosh, have you noticed an improvement? Is this? What did you do before to get your son out? And
We originally had a Weehoo,
okay.
which if you're not familiar with those, they connect up to the back of a bike, so it's got the seat, the handlebars.
Oh yeah, and it follows along.
Follows along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except he likes to rock back and forth, and he likes to lean out and touch things.
Wow.
So if you're trying to ride a bike and all of a sudden the bike starts
You're like,
doing like that,
"Wee-hoo!"
I
Yeah.
crashed a couple times, and then I'm
Oh.
like, sorry man, we can't go out on
This
the bike
thing looks
anymore.
super stable.
It is.
I
He
mean,
still
my
rocks
gosh.
back and forth on it, but yep, it is.
Having a
super
blast.
stable. He loves it.
Right?
Yes.
Well, this is fantastic. I appreciate the just spur of the moment here, getting to spend
Sure.
some time with you guys. Do you have any other feedback about about the kid or working with Jason or anything like that?
Oh man, yeah, Jason was great because after riding the bike and not being able to pedal up hills or anything,
Yeah.
I started looking at electric motors and searching around, and I happened to meet him out at a bike show,
Yeah.
and I started talking to him about the bike, and he's like, yeah, let me take a look at it and see what I got. And he looked at it and he's like, oh, I've got the perfect motor. It's got lots of power, good range.
That's
and,
fantastic.
yeah, we can go almost 20 miles on this, and even in with the 5 settings, we can put it on the lowest setting, and it still pulls the bike right along. So it's perfect.
Well, Colorado, there are some mountains and hills around here,
Yes,
so it's
there are.
important to have a little bit of help.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And I noticed that this one, you've got this extra big torque arm so it can handle the additional strain of that motor. That looks like a pretty big motor. What's that one called, Jason?
This one's the Clydesdale Kit. It's a 48 volt, 750 watt system. Its controller is a 30 amp controller.
Wow, 30 amp, because the other ones were like 22
Yeah.
or 17. So
this one can really push some power.
That's fantastic. Well, that's another kit that I was going to look at, covering, doing a review on. I appreciate it. This has been fun to kind of do a tour and have some spontaneous feedback
Right.
from an actual customer.
You're welcome to take it for a spin if you want.
I think I might do that. We're going to do probably a review separately or something, but can I ride in the front real quick while you...
Or you can
does that-
ride in the back if you want, but yeah, you can hop in the
I'm
front.
kind of curious about it. I don't want to wreck anything,
All right.
but...
Oh, no, you won't wreck it. All right.
I want to have the experience. Yeah, this is great. And look at this with an iPad or something. You can watch,
Yep.
have some fun on the way.
Yeah, because we wanted to do a video to see what his face was like when we were riding on the bike.
This is sweet. Okay. Oh man, these pedals are a little short for me, aren't they?
Yeah, you can probably just set your foot there. If you
Look
want.
at that, because they are freewheeling. Yeah, I'm not gonna pedal. My phone in there somehow, maybe. I don't need to steer or anything, do I? Right? I just get to hang
Just
out.
right along.
Okay. This is so cool. Look, it's doing it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Are you ready? Sweet.
And then, so it's on. So now we're on the highest setting right now, and it gets up to speed. It goes.
Wow. What's the top speed that you guys hit with this?
I think we got it up to 30 miles an hour once.
30 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Are you going down one of those hills?
No, yeah, we there's a part when we go bike riding that it's a 2-lane road, and so we try to go really fast to get out of traffic.
Oh.
And, yeah, got it up to 30 miles an hour. It was awesome.
It's pretty quiet.
It is, which is great.
Oh boy. You're getting us up on 2 wheels? It feels pretty stable considering.
Yep, it's great.
So this is my view right here. This is so cool. You can pedal along. Those are super short crank arms too.
Yeah. So
Oh, you just locked me in. Whoa, I didn't know you could do that like on the fly.
Yep, on the fly.
Oh my gosh.
It's awesome, and it has actually 2 speeds for the front pedals. One is it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and the other's a 2-to-1 ratio. So if I want him to pedal as fast as I am, I can set it to that, or do half speed, and then it'll 50% of what I'm settling. So
We're having fun. This is cool. Wow. And I noticed that you have a fender so that he doesn't get super soaked.
yes, because we do dirt trail riding with it as well, and so yeah, he doesn't get covered in dirt.
You got a suspension fork set up even, so it's like
Yep.
kind of comfortable. I'm gonna pretend that I'm having fun too.
All right.
Bouncing around. That's so cool. Do you remember, I mean, these bikes are kind of expensive, right?
They are very expensive. This originally was going for about $7,500.
Wow.
But there's every year there's a project that helps raise funds to pay for special needs bikes, and so we actually were able to raise the funds for it and got it for about $5,400.
Do you want to share the name of that fund, or how did that work?
Dang, I'll have to look. Oh, it's a Great Bike Giveaway.
The Great Bike Giveaway. That
Yep.
sounds
and,
awesome.
Every February is when they'll put up the different bikes that they want to make available for people.
Wow. Is that a Colorado thing? Oh boy, my
No.
feet fell off.
Uh-oh.
I think we should pull it back.
All right.
I've
It's
had
a
my fun.
nationwide
thing?
nationwide fundraising thing. Yep.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yes. Yeah. It's a great organization. They help a lot of people. I mean, they usually help raise funds for hundreds of bikes for people.
What's this bike called again?
This is a E2600 tandem made by Freedom Concepts.
Whatever. That's awesome. Well, I've had a ton of fun getting a ride for sure, and like a little tour. Jason, thank you for having me out, and getting the opportunity to review some of your kits. It's neat to see what you can do, because I don't think anyone makes a purpose-built electric bike like this, but then with your kits you can really make it something special.
Yeah.
So this has been good, and thank you both for coming
Certainly.
and sharing. Okay, so we're not quite done. We've got another person that showed up. This is Patrick. How's it going, buddy?
Hey.
It's kind of interesting because earlier Jason and I were talking about failure rates on batteries, and you were saying like, well, 1% failure. And I didn't ask, like, what do you do with those 1% failure rates, right?
Yeah, so what I do, my name is Patrick with High C Battery. We're a professional battery assembly company. So yeah, what we do for Jason is we take all his failed batteries and we go through them, we do diagnostics, we pull them apart, we check the terminals. Many times there's a bad terminal or something like that. We can take it, recrimp it, and then we put it on our BA 1800 battery analyzer tester.
Is that the same thing? You've got that? Okay, yes. Okay, cool.
And after the repair, we charge it up fully, and then we can do a capacity test, and we can see how much capacity is actually left in the battery, and also the internal resistance. And that's important because the internal resistance is how much voltage sag you're going to get from the battery. So the higher that number is.
So Patrick is kind of a geek, okay? Like I'm just teasing. You're actually really advanced. You're from the automotive industry, and
yes.
So this for you, this is kind of like. It sounds like simplified almost.
Yeah, so a car's got 150 computers on it, some of those Audis and stuff. So
wow.
The e-bike, the battery's got a battery management system in it, and it's pretty simple for me to go in and diagnose it. It takes about 30 minutes for me to go through a battery, and figure out exactly what is wrong with it, and can it be repaired? Does it need to be rebuilt? So yeah, we can do a rebuild service where we take your old battery, we take all the old cells out, then we'll put in brand new cells, weld them all in, and then we'll do that capacity test and make sure it's all quality tested for you. And
so you guys are friend companies.
Yeah.
So it's High C, and then we got EBO.
There's a lot of things Patrick can do for us. We have a lot of unusual bikes come through, a lot of kits going on, and we have people who want all sorts of unusual batteries. And well, someone want to fill their whole triangle on a full suspension frame with a custom battery so they get as much amp hours as possible. So we'll call up Patrick and say, hey, we need this custom battery made. And he has all the capability to weld up the battery the exact shape the customer wants. So we can make these great batteries for our customers. So it's a great relationship.
Well, you're totally custom too with like the different types of batteries. We were looking at the Clydesdale earlier, 750 watts, and you have 500, 350. Is the key just to get the voltage right, and then you can connect any battery to any same voltage motor, or?
Essentially.
Well, I guess the amps need to be, I don't know.
Well, it really depends on, the amp draw and how far you want to go. We can select the right cells for your, application. And that's really what we do. We're here to make it easy for you to find the right battery for your application.
Okay, that's what I was, because in my mind, it's like this simplified version of like, I guess if the voltage matches, but there's a lot more to consider. And so you do more than just like diagnose and fix the battery. Because a lot of times the cells, like most of the cells could be fine, but maybe it's the connectors, or maybe there's one dead cell or something, and because they're in series, it messes it up. Or
yeah, so a lot of times the BMS will fail. So we just take it out and put a new one in, and then we, obviously we do go through our testing series and make sure it's all good.
Can you show me some of that testing stuff, or what's going on back here? This is your workstation, huh?
So actually, here's a test result right here of a battery. So this one here was rated 11 amp hours. It tested at 12.76, so it was a really, really good battery. Here's all your internal resistance, and you get this print off here of results of your capacity test, and time and the capacity. So how long did the battery go? So it went over an hour and a half. It ran. And all these peaks and valleys you're seeing along here is a simulation of, of riding your e-bike. And
like a real world, like, you went up a hill and then you went down a hill.
Yeah, pulls a lot, and it's like going down a hill is not pulling as much, and it's got, flats. And then you got your charge time, so charging the battery back up. And you kind of see in the charge here, pretty quickly you're up pretty high in your charge. And 4 hours you've got a full charge, and then it trickle charges it.
That's what I've heard, right? Like the first half of the battery charges the faster because it's not having to balance the cells.
Yeah, usually in like the first 2 hours you're almost at 80%.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then it starts slowing down the charge.
Okay.
Patrick probably could talk to that more better than I could.
Yeah, so your first phase of charge is your constant current, or no? Yes.
It's okay.
Constant current.
Yeah.
So the battery's on the charger. It's, say it's a 36 volt battery. You start at about 32 volts. Well, it'll supply, say a 2 amp charge. So that 2 amps will flow into the battery. The voltage will rise to a certain point, and then it'll switch to the CV phase, and that's the constant voltage. And then the amperage will taper off. And then once it hits about 50 milliamps, the charge will cease.
Okay.
And then at the top of charge, the BMS will balance the pack, so all the each of the series strings will be in the same state of charge. So they'll charge up fully and then discharge fully together.
Okay.
And that's really really having a balanced pack is key to a good battery, essentially. So
one of the things I've noticed about displays on e-bikes is that sometimes you've got like an LED display that kind of like you twist the throttle and it's like you go from full to like empty, and then you stop and it goes, and then there's other ones that seem very consistent. So how are they measuring different things? What do they measure?
So typically when you have the 3 lights on the handlebar,
Yeah.
That's just measuring voltage. So yeah, when you're on the throttle, you're drawing amperage from that battery, so the voltage is sagging. So that's where you get the lights coming down. When you let off, the voltage returns. So the higher the resistance of the battery, the more the voltage will sag and the less performance you'll get. So when we build our packs, we use really high quality nickel made in the USA. So you're going to have less internal resistance, you're going to get less voltage sag, and you're going to have better performance. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Are there other displays that measure your watt hours or something do you know anything about this? Just
Well, I think there's different displays that probably will have a little bit of a lag, I would assume, to keep
Yeah,
from.
it's kind of like the fuel gauge on your car. There's it's called a slosh module. So it'll take out that, because as the fuel sloshes around, you're gonna, the gauge would be like this. So with a slosh module, it keeps that gauge steady. So it kind of dampens that, that curve of the.
It doesn't do
voltage.
the drop when you pull the voltage.
Yeah,
It stays where it's at. So when it comes back, it'll recognize when you're not on the throttle.
That makes sense. I guess my question would be, do all controllers / displays measure voltage, or is there some other way to measure capacity in a battery?
All of ours here does voltage.
Yeah, most stuff is you just have a voltage gauge, and you obviously see that when it drops down. But like I run a cycle analyst on mine.
Right, Grin Technologies.
Yeah,
shout out.
Grin, he's Justin Elmore is the man. So
Yeah.
he's the creator of the cycle analyst. So yeah, it'll measure the amount of watt hours that you use per mile.
Huh.
And then you can calculate how far you can go, with your current battery, based on watt hours. Because that's kind
like
of how
range estimate kind of a thing.
Yeah, so that's really how you can compare batteries, is by the watt hours.
Okay.
You can take the voltage, multiply it by the amp hours, and then you get your watt hours, and that's a good way you can compare different batteries.
Yeah.
So say a 48 volt 13 amp hour versus a 36 volt 13 amp hour is going to have different amount of watt hours. Obviously the 48 volt's going to have more. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's a good way to compare apples to apples.
And the voltage, with the higher voltage, so you go from 36 to 48. 48's maybe more efficient, the way the electricity is transmitted. That's what I hear. I mean, we were just talking about...
if it's better to make wattage with voltage, because amperage is what creates heat. So if you got the higher voltage, you're not going to have as many amps to supply the wattage that you need.
Yeah, the watt hours. And I guess the wattage, a motor might run at like 350 watts nominal. So is that what you're saying? It can supply those watts to the motor more efficiently?
Well, you're just using less amperage to create the wattage. So
Okay.
yeah, you run smaller wires. You don't, it's just more efficient that way.
Maybe, since you're the battery expert, I've heard, there's the examples where it's like voltage, like if you imagine a hose, it's like how much pressure or something.
Yeah, voltage would be your pressure. So the higher the voltage, the more pressure, the more potential you have between power and ground. So you can flow with a harder pressure. And the higher voltage you go, the faster the motor will spin based on its kV.
That's a new term for me.
Yeah,
KV, what does that mean?
I think it's constant velocity, or I'm not exactly sure. But
What about amps? Because we were talking about some of the controllers here, 30 amps, some are 22, some are 17.
So that's the amount of current that the control will supply to the motor from the battery. So if you step up from a 36 volt to 48 volt, it's still going to draw that 20 amps. So the 48 volt's going to give you more available wattage.
Yeah.
But like my bike, I have a 3-speed switch, so I can change the amperage on it, which is really nice.
Interesting. So you could go like from efficient to like more powerful?
Yeah. So I actually have like 4 modes. I have a pedal assist sensor on there, and it's set for 350 watts through the cycle analyst.
Yeah. And
then I have a 3-speed switch, so I can switch from 20 amps to 40 amps to 60 amps.
Cool.
And I run a custom, it's a 24S battery, so that equates to an 88.8 volt 24 amp hour, and it's made with high power density and high power delivering cells that are the Samsung 30Qs. It's a good balance between high power and high capacity.
Wow.
So yeah, I can draw max burst would be 120 amps. So you're talking 10,000 watts from this battery.
Gee whiz.
And it's it's only this big. So yeah, I can go if I use pedal assist, I can get about 150 miles.
Wow.
Pedaling.
How much does it weigh? I mean, you gave me the size,
So yeah, the battery weighs about 20 pounds.
Okay.
And it's 4 times larger than your typical e-bike battery.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I got it in my truck, so
Wow.
I'll have to check it out.
This is cool. I really appreciate it. I don't know if there was anything else to look at over here. It just was kind of fun. And your website for people who might want to do a custom battery project or might want to have a battery repacked, because sometimes you end up with like an e-bike that the company goes out of business when your bike is still good, but the battery died. So it's a high C?
It's highcbattery.com. It's hicbattery.com. Any generic type battery that's on the market that fits a bunch of different bikes, we'll be carrying.
Do people have to be local, or can they ship it? You have like a hazmat shipping
we'll be
process?
hazmat certified to ship, from Denver to wherever you need in the U.S.
How do people get the battery to you? Because it's still a battery.
Yeah, so you'd have to put a label on there that says it's a lithium battery, and then ship it by ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's companies that locally that can maybe help you with that, or I've heard like maybe you send them a hazmat box or something.
Yeah, so you can print a sticker out on the website, and then you'd put it on the box, and then you'd ship it to us.
Oh, okay.
You want to send the charger in as well, because then you're gonna we can test the battery system, the charging and the discharge side. So.
Wow. Well, fantastic. Yeah, Patrick, I wish you good start with your business.
Thank you.
As you transition more, it sounds like full time into the e-bike space now. So
absolutely.
We'll have to come by and check out your shop eventually when it opens.
We'll be setting up shop here in the next month or two. So
fantastic, sweet. Are there any more surprise guests here, Jason? This has been really fun.
We're really fortunate everybody was able to come by.
Yeah, I've certainly had a great time. It's been a pleasure to meet everyone, and I'm going to be doing some reviews and stuff of the Electric Bike Outfitter kits back at the site, so keep your eyes out and ride safe, guys.